Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new legal breaking reporting video analysis update. As beef prices remain high, Donald Trump calls for inquiry into beef producers. Let's get into this. Brand new reporting by the New York Times.
As beef prices remain high, Trump calls for inquiry into meatpackers. This article is by Kevin Draper and read by an automated voice. A Justice Department investigation into the country's largest meatpacking companies for collusion and price fixing has the potential to reshape the cattle and beef industries, but past efforts to break the company's hold have gone nowhere. The White House called for an examination into the meatpacking company's practices after President Trump, in a post on social media on Friday, accused them of artificially inflating prices and jeopardizing the country's food supply. A White House news release specifically named JBS, Cargill, Tyson Foods, and National Beef as targets of the investigation. The companies collectively slaughter 85% of the country's cattle and a majority of its hogs. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, said an investigation, headed by the Justice Department's Antitrust Division, was already underway. Ranchers have long complained that the Big Four meatpackers hold undue power. They have pointed to data that shows that retail beef prices rose over much of the last decade, even as the price they received for their cattle fell, with middlemen like slaughterhouses taking in more of the profits. We welcome this investigation to ensure that cattle producers receive competitive prices for their cattle, and that consumers pay prices set by a competitive market rather than a monopolistic one. Bill Bullard, the chief executive of the Ranchers Cattlemen Legal Action Fund, said in a statement on Friday. JBS, Cargill, Tyson Foods, and National Beef did not respond to requests for comment. The Meat Institute, an industry lobbying group, said that beef packers were losing money and that market transactions are transparent. Shares in JBS and Tyson Foods, the two publicly traded meat packers, initially dropped on Friday after President Trump's announcement, though Tyson's stock recovered and ended up for the day. A pound of ground beef cost $6.32 in September, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, an increase of more than 11% from the year before. Most economists have pointed to the United States cattle herd, which is smaller than it has been since the 1950s, as the main cause of high beef prices. President Trump has often talked about food prices and the Consumer Price Index, sometimes falsely saying the costs for some foods have fallen when they have not. The opening of an investigation could mollify President Trump's critics in ranching and farm country. While rural America largely voted for him in the last presidential election, many have grown more critical as his trade war drove down crop prices, and his administration spent $40 billion bailing out Argentina, an agricultural competitor of the United States. Mr. Trump has also blamed ranchers for high beef prices, leading to a drop in prices for cattle at auctions. But the retail price of beef has continued to rise. The government in President Trump's first term also examined the meatpacking industry. The Department of Justice subpoenaed information from the big meatpackers. President Joseph R. Biden Jr. also criticized meatpackers in one of his State of the Union addresses. The companies have paid hundreds of millions of dollars over the years to settle an array of private lawsuits accusing them of fixing prices, but the government has rarely advanced beyond investigations to formally accuse the companies or their executives of wrongdoing. Ranchers have not been alone in their criticism of the control held by a handful of large companies. Farmers have long complained that just a few companies control the seed, fertilizer, and equipment industries, and they have no choice but to pay inflated prices for those products. Gail Slater, the Assistant Attorney General for the Justice Department's Antitrust Division, said at her confirmation hearing in the spring that agriculture was one of the industries she wanted to focus on. Ms. Slater, a Republican who has embraced what she calls America First antitrust, said she believed that antitrust enforcers should give priority to core industries that affect the pocketbooks of Americans, like food, housing, and healthcare. She has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Agriculture Department to protect competition in the agricultural industry. When the Senate Judiciary Committee held a hearing on concentration in the seed and fertilizer industries last month, she attended and later met with people running independent seed businesses who were among the witnesses. On Friday, she said she had met with a number of ranchers. But even if Ms. Slater and the Antitrust Division want to take action against potential collusion, it is unclear whether they will have the ability to do so. Over the summer, Ms. Slater was forced to fire two of her top deputies, Roger Alford and William Rinner. Mr. Alford later said at a conference that they were fired because lobbyists for companies involved in a potential acquisition objected to the Antitrust Division's review and persuaded Justice Department officials under Ms. Bondi to demand their ouster.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this legal breaking reporting video analysis update. If you did enjoy this legal breaking reporting video analysis update, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy. And as always, I will look forward to talking to you guys in my next legal breaking reporting video analysis update. In the meantime, please stay tuned.